Hi everyone, welcome to Legends of the Spire and thanks for joining us again. Before I introduce today's podcast, I would just like to announce that we are delighted to have been shortlisted as one of the best non-league podcasts at the Football Content Awards. Voting is now open for the winner, so you've got until October 2021 to place a vote. If you go to www.footballcontentawards.com/voting and then scroll down to the Best in Non-League Podcast Award, then please do select Legends of the Spire. It'd be lovely to win an award. Completely unexpected, since I only started it this year as kind of a small little thing while lockdown was happening. But amazing for it to come up, so I'm absolutely chuffed. So now back on to today's podcast. Today we have Lee Francis with us. Now, he was with us in the early 90s for a couple of seasons after leaving Arsenal as a youngster and making the trip up north. He had a good 2 seasons with us, played a lot of games, and then played for a lot of non-league clubs around the London area. And then he did the Knowledge and is now a cabbie in London. So it was really good to speak to him both about football and about being a cabbie too. Yeah, really great to speak to him. Absolutely great bloke, and hopefully I'll bump into him in his cab in London one day. As always, I'm at Spire Legends on Twitter and Legends of the Spire on Facebook, so please do get in touch. And yeah, if you do go to footballcontentawards.com/voting, please vote for the podcast and we'll see what happens. But for now, here is the latest episode of Legends of the Spire with Lee Francis. So you can kind of tell by your accent that is it Walthamstow that you're born?
Yes, yeah, I was born in Walthamstow. Yeah, just we live in Chingford now, which is only like 4 miles away from Walthamstow. So I'm not.
So you're a Arsenal.
Yeah, I was an Arsenal fan. My dad's family were from Islington, so, which is Arsenal territory. So yeah, my dad was Arsenal, and I followed him.
Yeah. So how did you end up kind of getting a career in football then? How did it
just playing for me district side, Waltham Forest, same district as Harry Kane and David Beckham. Like they're both from Chingford, which is just up the road. And yeah, you play for your school team first, and then you play for the district, and then all the scouts would watch. They would all be at all the district games.
Yeah.
And Arsenal spotted me when I was 11, so I used to go training with them from 11.
Crikey.
And then 12, 13, 14, and then you sign schoolwork forms at 14, which is how they did it in them days. And then got offered apprenticeship at 16, just before I was leaving school. So I found out on the January they was offering me 2-year apprenticeship, and obviously exams and stuff. I didn't really get my head down too good, but yeah, it was nice to know you was, in July you was starting pre-season with Arsenal. It was great.
Did you
same year that George Graham joined, 86.
Oh wow!
So
I was going to say, because who was as a Northern Chesterfield fan,
right? Yeah.
Back in that time, which players would I have heard of that you were kind of around?
We're in the first team, you mean? What, in 86?
First team and kind of coming.
Well, my kids I grew up with, like we won the Youth Cup in 88, so we had a really good side. There was me, Alan Miller, goalkeeper, who died recently, had a heart attack. God bless him. David Ilya, who made so about 5 of that team got into the Arsenal first team. It was Alan Miller, played a few games. Kevin Campbell, centre forward, who was at Everton and Forest. Kevin's probably, he done the best out of our lot, game wise and club wise, I suppose, appearances wise. Steve Morrow, remember when Tony Adams picked him up and he broke his shoulder? Do you remember that? You're too young, Dave, probably.
No, I remember.
That would have been, I think that was 93 that happened. So Andy Cole was a couple of years younger, so Andy Cole played a few games for us because he was obviously that good, even though he was a couple of years younger.
Did you ever kind of mix with any of the first team? Did you?
Even for the apprentices level. I remember George Graham had us all in a pre-season. We do pre-season around like a park, Trent Park, and you'd have a sort together, and yeah, like reserves, youth team, first team. So obviously the squads were a lot smaller in them days. So, first team squad was literally probably 16, 18 players. Who was there? John Lukic. I used to clean his boots. Was in goal.
The Chesterfield guy.
Chesterfield, but yeah, I bumped into him. I remember going to the circus they used to have near the old house pub.
Yeah.
I'm going back, this is when I was at Chesterfield 1990, and I looked around my shoulder and John Lukic was sitting behind me. So I was talking to, because obviously I knew John from Arsenal. So, John Lukic was in goal. Viv Anderson was the right back. Obviously, you had Tony Adams, David O'Leary, Kenny Sanson. Obviously, David Roadcastle, brilliant player. Obviously, up front was Noel Quinn, Charlie Nicholas.
Were you? Did you have a specific player that you were cleaning boots for or anything?
Yeah, I did. I think I did Lukey, but yeah, he never gave much money out at Christmas. Like some of the players, like Graham Ricks, another obviously England player, he would give the boys like £50 notes, like for doing. Bearing in mind we was on £35 a week as apprentices, so that was quite a lot of money in them days, Yeah, I don't think Lukey's not the most generous, but he's good.
That's the Chesterfield link, boy.
I must be. Yeah. But yeah, he tweeted me the other day. He was in London. He said, "Oh, I'll get a free lift or something." But yeah, I think he does a bit of media stuff and a bit of talking.
Yeah.
Did you know John? Or?
Well, we've had Bob Wilson on the podcast.
Oh, brilliant, Bob! Yeah,
he's been on. Obviously, he grew up in Chesterfield and watching Gordon Banks playing in net for Chesterfield, and we had Nicky Law on, who started at Arsenal.
Oh yeah, played against Nicky. I think when he was at Rotherham. I think he was at Rotherham. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he'll have been in there a few years before you, I think, wouldn't he?
I think he joined Chesterfield after me.
Maybe after.
I think Rotherham when I was. Might have been the year I left. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. So were you always a defender, or did you?
No, like as I said, when I was at Waltham Forest, I was centre midfield. Like probably most of, obviously the better players would always play centre mid, wouldn't they? I remember you used to talk to Dave Wally. He said I think he used to play centre mid, didn't he?
Mm.
And obviously he was a good goal scorer. But centre. And then it was only when I went to Arsenal, sort of Pat Rice was the youth coach, and he sort of turned me into a right back. Because obviously he was a right back. So.
Was that ever like a begrudgingly? Oh, I don't want to be.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah, you're thinking, stuck at right back. In them days you had to sort of you play 4-4-2. We didn't really play a 5 in them days. It was always 4-4-2, and so the right back you didn't really, you'd overlap the right winger now and again. That was about it. Your chance of getting forward really, but because nowadays they just bomb on, don't they, and let the three centre halves defend. So. The game certainly changed, isn't it?
So you were obviously we're Arsenal. This is like you said you won the Youth Cup in '88. Was
88, yeah. I joined '86, and obviously when I was 18, we won the Youth Cup in '88, and obviously I was in the reserves from the youth player, so I was playing reserves. Youth games would be 11 o'clock, and then obviously lucky if you were in the reserves, you got to lay in because we didn't kick off till 3 o'clock at Highbury. So lucky I was in the reserves quite a lot, so you'd get a lay in and. Like for a youth game, you'd have to get up early, get to the Highbury, and then get the coach to where the game was at London Cabbie.
So how did it all come about with Chesterfield then? Because obviously you joined us on loan, didn't you?
Yeah, I was on loan. I think because in them days the loan was sort of March, wasn't it? I think you was allowed to go in March for the last few months of that season. So that would have been 1990. And then, I remember the chief scout, Steve Birchall, said to me, Chesterfield, been on the phone, they want you to go there, like, play for their first team. Like, I was stuck in the reserves. Lee Dixon was the right back at Arsenal.
Yeah.
He was an England player. I wasn't going to get him out of the team. So, I was more than happy to go. Really enjoyed it. Loved it up there.
Did you have to look on a map to see where Chesterfield was?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't know. I remember Brian Marwood was at Arsenal at the time, and he... when he knew I was going up there, he said, you'll enjoy it up there, because he knew Paul Hart. I think he played with Paul Hart from Sheffield Wednesday, probably. They would have been at Sheffield Wednesday together. So, I remember Brian telling me, you'll love it up there. It'd be good.
So how did it work in terms of moving up? Were you in digs, or was it?
Yeah, I stayed. I was in there used to be a hotel just around the corner from the Saltergate.
Mm-hmm.
Got the name of it. Literally, it was like walking distance. It was like a bed and... So I stayed there the first few days, but then I think I went up there on probably the Wednesday or Thursday, and I was going to make my debut on the Saturday against Lincoln at Cecil Bank, and then on the Friday morning we're training on the pitch. I busted my ankle, literally. I think I was going to be sub that game. He said to me, "You'll be sub," I think, and yeah, that was a bit of a disaster. You know, literally landed on the ankle and done all my ankle ligaments as I landed. So I was really enjoying it. You know, first couple of training sessions have gone really good, and yeah, it was a shame. But so that was March time, and obviously I didn't make the debut, I think, till probably end of April.
Yeah, it was right near the end of the season, wasn't it?
It was right at the end of the season because we were like playoffs, obviously. So how old was you then when that was? You
I was about 7.
So you weren't really following it then?
No, there's the joys of YouTube nowadays, and part of the reason why I started this whole podcast in the first place is because my Chesterfield knowledge is about the last 25 years, something like that, probably.
Oh, so
it's really nice to. I kind of feel like I know a lot of the managers from around that time now, kind of a lot of the like classic games, I suppose, from around that time. So did you end up then having to go back to Arsenal to?
I went back for treatment with Gary Lewin, who was the Arsenal physio. And it was quite. It was still hurting, and I'd try and run, and do twisting, and it was still hurting. And even they used to call me like stamp. Even when I started playing them last few games, I'd be stamping my ankle because it was still hurting quite a bit. Dave Ashby would strap it up and sort of get through them games, but yeah, it was still hurting quite a bit. And you felt like I was doing all right. I played all right, but I felt like I could have played better. Obviously I didn't feel 100% sort of thing, but fit enough to play.
So when you actually managed to get back to Chesterfield and start,
it took it's about 6 weeks. So I went back because I thought, oh, that's going to be it. They're not going to want me to go back. Thinking, but Paul was really good. And he said, no, I want you to come back. Still, we get the playoffs. You can. Lucky, I think I played debut against Scunthorpe. I think we drew 1-1.
Yeah, Scunthorpe. Yeah.
You got, and then we had to beat Grimsby on the last game of the season, which was a full house. I think Grimsby had won the league, so I think they'd obviously been promoted, so I think they'd all been out that week. So
were they already on the beach?
I think so. We beat them quite easy, 2-0. I can't think who scored, but yeah, it's 2-0. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was a full like biggest crowd I've played in front of, really, because like Arsenal reserve, you're only playing in front of a few hundred people. So I think there was about 6,000-7,000 for that game. It was a good atmosphere.
For this season, Chesterfield began at home to promoted Grimsby, knowing their recent slip-ups meant even victory might not be enough to get them into the playoffs. But they got off to the best possible start. Lee Rogers here over his head. No way through for Dave Waller, who was back in the side after a neck injury. But John Ryan crashed in the loose ball. 3 minutes gone.
I mean, how many were you playing in? Were you playing in front of crowds for reserves at Arsenal and things like that, or was it your first?
Only like a few hundred you get for reserve games. So we had more for the youth when we won the Youth Cup. We had bigger crowds. Like we played at Crewe one game. It was full up there. It was like 5,000 at Crewe, and we played Doncaster in the final, and that was full house for that Youth Cup final. But we beat them. I think we beat them 5-0 up there. Kevin Campbell got 4, I think. So the return leg was a formality at Ivory. I think we drew 1-1. So
I've spoken to a few players that talk about how they kind of notice straight away how it all means something. It means a lot more, I suppose, when you're going into first team football.
Oh, big time!
It's like the team rather than you kind of find yourself a little bit, aren't you, in the reserves, trying to.
Well, in the reserves at Arsenal, you had like half players like me, youngsters, and then the rest would be the first team players that weren't in the first team. So, so they'd be sort of playing with the ump a little bit, people like Noel Quinn, Charlie. No, they was really good. They'd Graham Ricks, like George Graham, weren't putting them in the team. They'd have to play in the reserve. So it was a great experience because you're playing with great players. They're all like internationals. But if you didn't put the ball in the right place, they'd soon let you know. If you didn't do the right pass to them, it was. So it kept you on your toes anyway, that's for sure.
Yeah. So those first 2 games for Chesterfield, like you say, Scunthorpe and then Grimsby, were kind of quite high pressure games, really, weren't they?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I felt less pressure, I think, playing for Chesterfield than I did for Arsenal, I think, which is a strange feeling. Soon it was bigger crowd and you're actually playing for, it actually means something to the fans, doesn't it? You could tell, the fans. And that was a relief. Because I remember getting the train back that Saturday night after we beat Grimsby, and like looking at the league table, I think, oh, we're seventh, and then someone said, no, the playoff finals at Wembley. I'm thinking, because I think that was the first year the playoffs were at Wembley.
Yeah.
Because in the old days, they used to just play home and away, didn't they? I think that 1990 was the first year they played the playoff final. So it was like, wow, we could play at Wembley here. So, when we beat Stockport 4-0 and 2-0, that was a good night. After we beat Stockport, the second game, we went into town. I can't remember where we went, but yeah, we all went in. All the fans are in the club we was in, so it was great. Yeah.
I was going to say like that, because you ended up playing 5 games that season. I think we only let in 2 goals. Unfortunately, one of them was to Dion Dublin in the final. But
I still watch. I've got it on DVD now. I hate watching it.
The semi against Stockport, that must have been. I don't want to call something easy when I've never been a professional.
It was, yeah.
Was it pretty easy?
It was, yeah. It was surprisingly, yeah. The first game, I think my mum and dad come up with my girlfriend, and it was. I think was it 3-0 at half time or something like that. I can't remember that, but it did seem, yeah. They hardly had a shot. I think Mickey Leonard hardly had a shot. Yeah, that was. And then the away game was obviously they'd 4-0 down. I think they'd given up. So the away game was quite easy as well. Yeah, because I think they'd finished 4th that year, maybe. We were 7th, weren't we? So. Yeah, so it goes, isn't it? Sometimes a team that finishes 7th does well, don't they? Whatever.
It's usually that you usually find it, don't you? Because they've kind of a bit of a surprise 7th, maybe. You kind of
got nothing to lose. You really no pressure on you, sort of thing.
Chesterfield now look odds-on to make the Wembley playoff finals, thanks largely to a hat-trick from Calvin Plummer. He struck first in the 38th minute. Then, on the stroke of half-time, he popped up for number 2. After the break, a neat build-up, and there was Plummer again to complete a memorable hat-trick. Finally, a long free kick, a touch on in the box, and there was John Ryan to make it Chesterfield 4, Stockport County 0.
You already getting kind of measured up for your suit then after that first leg? You're kind of new.
We didn't get those suits. We had to wear our own suits. Well, I remember all the lads. I think all the Chesterfield lads. Obviously, I was only on loan. They all had suits. Like I think they had grey. I think if you look at the video, they all had grey suits when we have a look on the pitch. I've got like a green suit on. I think when I got out the catalogue, I think Freeman's. But yeah, I was the only one who didn't have a grey suit. I think like Dyche, everyone else has got like grey suits on. All a bit big, when them days it was like the baggy suits when all the suits was all a bit big, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the style, wasn't it?
Have you ever watched I suppose have you watched the final?
I've watched it. Yeah.
It wasn't a great game, was it? Yeah, I've watched it. It had a few chances. Calvin Plummer had a couple of good chances, but yeah, it's a shame. I always think, if you only had stuck that one in,
Did you? Were you kind of a bit of the tour guide?
Oh, what, in London? Funny enough, in them days, I very rarely went into central London, because I live on the outskirts, sort of you call it the suburbs. Walthamstowe's right, sort of East London, but it's sort of on the edge of London. So yeah, I'm a cabbie now, but in them days, I never really knew London very well.
Yeah.
So, I remember we stayed in the Marriott at Regent's Park. I remember we stayed there. Obviously, I didn't know at the time. But obviously now I drop people off there all the time, So yeah, it's funny. I remember we went for a walk around Primrose Hill, which you get a great view of London from up there. So at the time I wasn't really sure where I was, to be honest. Yeah, even though I was from London, because I was only 20 at the time, so I hadn't been in London that many times really.
Yeah, was it a bit weird then? Just after your 5th game for Chesterfield, playing at Wembley,
Oh, nice, crazy, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I was very lucky, really. It was nice. So, yeah, it's just good timing, really. So, yeah, happy days. Yeah, it's good. Just the result didn't go our way, but yeah, it was good. We had some good players like John Ryan playing. We had some good players. Tony Bryan. It was a shame Dave Waller wasn't fit, because I think if a fit Dave Waller, we would have got that goal. I think. Yeah, he would have stuck one of our chances away.
Yeah, I think he definitely kind of.
You'd probably say that as well, wouldn't he?
So should have been on the bench.
Well, he'd had that bad knee injury, so I think he accepted it. He knew he wasn't. He knew he wasn't right. Yeah. such a shame, you know, because he would have scored so many goals. Yeah. You
So
can see, even though I'd only seen him play like a few weeks before I think he'd done his knee, probably the Grimsby game, maybe.
Mm.
But yeah, I'll see he probably scored in that game, the Grimsby game, maybe. But yeah, I think that's when he done his knee. I think that's why he didn't play Stockport games, or I think he was on the bench when he for the.
Do you remember the kind of team talk before the match or anything like that from Paul Hart? What he was trying to?
Yeah, not really. No.
What was he like as a boss, as a gaffer?
Yeah, I like Paul Hart. Yeah, he's really not. He's nice to me. Yeah, he was. You know, he would lose his temper a little bit. Normally at Tony Bryan, but because he was a centre half, I think, so he expected a lot more from him. So no, he was. Yeah, and then when I see him on telly now, he's quite quietly spoken, isn't he? But I always remember him sort of in your face, sort of shouting in your face type thing. But no, he was good coach, and obviously knows his football. But yeah, it's a shame we didn't perform the year after. We got off to a terrible start, but we let him down really. But that's what happens sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah. So that Cambridge match, it wasn't. I like you say, it wasn't a classic of a playoff final, was it? I mean, playoff finals rarely are classics, are they? I suppose there's kind of high stakes for both clubs, but and the goal.
Yeah. You still know the goal that the cross comes in, and Mickey Leonard catches it, and they get a corner. I can still work out how they give that as a corner. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I think a lot of Chesterfield fans think the same thing.
No, the fella crosses it. I'm sure it doesn't take a deflection off anyone, and the ref gives a corner. And then, because do you remember the ref, George Courtney? I think he was the ref at the time. Remember the famous? He was like one of the top refs in. He was like the Michael Oliver of them days, wasn't he? And yeah, he gave a corner, but yeah, and then obviously they score from the corner. But that way bugs me that it was never a corner.
Yeah. Well, we've got a history of in
no VAR in them days,
getting done in games like FA Cup semi-final and stuff.
Oh God, yeah, I remember watching that on telly. Oh, it's unbelievable, and it's so far over the line, especially because some of the players were still there, like Daichi and Andy Morris, Jamie Hewitt.
Yeah,
I think they were really the only three that were still there. I think Lee Rogers was probably playing as well.
Yeah, it was like around the squad that time.
What was that? Was that 98?
So that was 97. But yeah, we're 25th anniversary next year. Yes. So did you watch that game?
Oh,
on a tangent a bit, watch it going. Oh,
jealous, really thinking. Yeah, I'm thinking they're going to get to the final. You know, well, they should have got to the final, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Because what would that have made it? What was the score? If that was a 2-goal lead, if that goal gets given, wasn't it?
Yeah, and against 10 men, that probably should have been 9 men.
That's right. It was 10 men as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's completely on David Ellery. Anyway.
Oh, was he the ref? Was it Ellery? Oh yeah, I remember getting it. He booked me a few times over the years. I remember we used to get him when we was playing at like places like Peterborough and stuff. He was like working his way up the leagues in the early 90s, wasn't he? Mm. And then obviously by 97 he was a top ref by then. Well, supposedly. But,
So after that, it's funny. I mean, I spoke to Lee Rogers and I asked him if he can ever watch Homes Under the Hammer when Beyond Dublin's on it, and he says he still quite enjoys it, but I don't know whenever you see Dion Dublin, does it just?
Yeah, well, as you say, yeah, it comes to mind as soon as you see him on telly. Yeah, I think, yeah, Jesus, we done well out of it, didn't he? Got to move to Man United, didn't he?
Well, yeah. So then, at the end of that season, was it always? Did you know that you were coming back, or?
Well, no, yeah, I can't remember now. I think Arsenal. I remember reading something in like the Evening Standard that Arsenal would let so many players go, and my name was on the list. That was, and they hadn't even spoke to me. So I remember my mum reading it, I think, and telling me, and I thought, oh God. But I had a feeling, they hadn't spoke about renewing the contracts. You know they're not really going to keep you on if, and obviously I knew Paul Hart wanted to sign me, so yeah, it was a no-brainer really. So I remember he offered me a 3-year contract for some silly reason. I said, oh, can we make it 2? So I wish I'd accepted the 3, because when the 2-year ran out, Chris McMenemy sort of done the dirty on me a little bit. So I wish I'd signed a 3-year contract when it had been offered. But I was thinking, 2 years, be enough. Because when you're 20, thinking, maybe 2 years, you might get a move. Something you just don't know, do you? You don't know what's going to happen. Really. But yeah, in hindsight, I wish I'd accepted the 3 years.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so that was good. Yeah, I remember I was sat with Artie. All the boys were giving me stick because I sat on Artie's table after the playoff final. And what was my wife and my girlfriend then. He got us to sit with them that night. So all the other players were giving me verbals because I'm sitting with the manager all night, sort of thing. But obviously, so yeah, I think I signed. We've done that the morning after. I think I sorted it out at the hotel. I think my dad come and we sorted that out. Yeah. Didn't have agents in them days, so just like sign what you was offered, and just like a bit more money than I was getting at Arsenal, sort of thing.
Yeah, what was it like? A couple £100 a week then, or something like that?
Yeah, it was. I think at Arsenal I was on 200 a week, and I think it went up to about 250 at Chesterfield. I got about 50 quid more a week, and obviously you could get bonuses. If you was in the top 7, you'd get an extra 70, 80, 90 quid or something.
Yeah.
So, which we did. We got in the top 7 a little bit. Yeah, I think under McMenemy we made, and then I'm trying to think now. Did you that following season? Where did we finish in the league? That mid-table?
So well, in 1991 at 18th. So
what, the first year?
Yeah, and then 13th. Yeah.
But that's the one. I knew we was sort of. Yeah, we did get in the top 7 a little bit, and then we sort of faded away. I think we was hoping to get playoffs again, but yeah, so that was when Christmas.
So when you got the full-time contract, then did you come up and rent somewhere, or?
No, because obviously I was in that hotel when I first come up, and then they found me some lodgings with a lovely couple called so long ago. Sue was the lady's name, and Neville. Oh boy, Neville, he cooked me dinner, and I'd have to do my own washing, but yeah, there was obviously washing machine there and stuff. But yeah, it was a bit of an eye opener. And in them days, you'd have to wear collar and tie for the games, blazer or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I never ironed, so I used to just iron the collar and put the shirt on, because that's the only thing you could see, the collar, couldn't you? So the rest of the shirt was all creased. But well.
Who were the players then around that squad that you were kind of?
Tony Bryan, because he lived in Chesterfield. There weren't many that lived. Obviously, Tony was in lodgings as well. He stayed with a couple called Ray Cat, is it? Yeah, Ray and Anne, I think it was. Lovely. They had a house. Brampton. Yeah, well, and Tony had already been there a year or so, I think. So, yeah, he sort of took me under his wing, sort of showing me around. And yeah, Tony was my closest. We'd go snooker. Dave Waller would go training. We'd be down a snooker or.
Was it kind of were you kind of the typical football group then? Was it like snooker and golf and?
Yeah, I got Tony into the golf. Yeah, I'm a golf. Yeah, I've always played golf. My brother's was a pro, so I've always played golf as well. Yeah, got Tony. I think I spoke to Tony the other week. He keeps saying we're going to have a game, but I think he wants me to drive up to Birmingham and have a game with him. Hopefully we'll sort that out.
So then that second season, so we're talking 1991 season now, aren't we? Like you said, you mentioned we got off to a bit of a bad start.
Yeah, I think we were sort of bottom 2 or 3 sort of about Christmas, and then I think that's when probably Paul Hart got sacked then. Chris McMenemy got the job, didn't he then?
Yeah. But I mentioned first, you scored against Doncaster, didn't you?
Yes.
I've not seen that. I've seen the Blackpool.
But you've not got a video of it.
The season after, I've got the Blackpool goal, but I've not
seen
the Doncaster one. Yeah.
Oh, could you send me that?
I'll send it to you. Yeah, it's the Doncaster one. Can you remember it? You can embellish as much as you want to, because I've not seen it.
Yeah, I've got a photo of it. I've got a photo of it. Me actually heading the ball, so it was a header. I think, funny enough, in that game, I think we did play as with wing back. I think when Chris McMenemy came in, we started playing. 5 at the back. There would be Lee Rogers, Tony, and Bryn Gunn, and then probably me on the right and John Ryan on the left. So yeah, I pushed up that game and managed to get me in probably one of John Ryan's crosses. Probably, I think Dave Caldwell, I sort of nicked it off him. He was lurking about, and there's a photo of me heading it. I think Dave sort of looking over his shoulders, I'm coming behind him, sort of thing. But yeah, that was. I think that was the first time I had to do a radio interview after the game. I think that was like local derby, wasn't it, Doncaster?
Yeah,
doing the radio interview after the game up in the stands.
And also, I mean, I hate to mention it, but I do like to look at the kind of bad side of football as well. Sometimes you scored an own goal as well that season, I think.
Oh, was that against Darlington?
Oh, who was it against? Yeah, Darlington. Yeah, in about
Yeah.
April time, I think that's
One of those that went in slow motion. I think I can remember it now. Oh, you sort of stick your leg out to try and cut the cross, and it sort of comes off your studs and then just trickles over the line. Probably Nicky Leonard sort of gone the wrong way as I start redirected the ball, but yeah, that was painful. Yeah.
Yeah, I've not really spoken to anyone about own. I've spoken to people about red cards before.
Most defenders have scored an own goal.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, what's your initial reaction after? Just try and keep your head up a bit?
Bury my head in the ground, sort of thing. Yeah, I remember it. I can still remember it quite clearly now. Yeah, it was down at the away end, I think. And thank God, really. Yeah, it was better than doing it at the home end, but because that terrace was normally empty then, wasn't it? I don't think there's many people behind the goal when that went in.
I was going to say, shall we mention Saltergate? Because obviously it's a bit different to Highbury, but I mean it's a well loved ground, and I feel really lucky that I've supported Chesterfield in that old ground and the new one.
Yeah. Oh, you've been to both. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I've not been to the new place. I have to come up.
Yeah. I mean, what did
I
you
know Dave Waller does a bit of work there, doesn't he? So I'm sure he could get.
Oh yeah. Dave Waller still does quite a lot of stuff. Still a lot of people.
Yeah.
Around, so yeah. So what was Saltergate like?
Yeah, just very old, old, but yeah, it's nice. I remember we would we would use it for training quite a lot as well. So you'd train on it. And I remember we had a little yard out the side of the dressing room, and we'd play cricket before training and stuff with me, Gunny, and a few of the others. Jamie likes his cricket. Gunny was quite a good cricketer. And we'd play a little bit of cricket before we went out to training and train on the pitch. Dig all the pitch up, like you'd be on it on a Friday, and then you'd be playing on it on a Saturday. So it wasn't in great nick, to be honest. But probably nowadays I don't think they train on the pitch anymore, do they?
No, but like back then as well, in terms of training, that could have just been anywhere, couldn't it?
Yeah, we used to go sometimes over. Used to call it Dog Shit Park, I think we used to call it. But you literally have to go around checking for dogs, but before training. And yeah, that was down the road somewhere. I can't think where it was. Sometimes we go to in winter time we go to a gym in Sheffield. We'd all have to drive our own cars, drive up to Sheffield to do a bit of training indoors. I have a little five-a-side indoors, which was good fun. Everyone loves a five-a-side. But yeah, times have changed. Have they got their own training ground there?
Yeah, they've got. I think they are looking at kind of expanding it and getting a better one. But I think the facilities nowadays are a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah, I wish I'd been born about 30 years later. I think money-wise and big. I don't know. Who knows?
It was funny around then as well, because that was just before the Premier League kind of started, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah, you didn't really, like nowadays, even like all the playoff games are on live on Sky now. In our day, it wasn't even on telly, that playoff final. It was old enough just to get a copy of the game.
Yeah. What did it? Over that period of time, what did it feel like? Did it feel like the game was going in a different direction, or was?
Not really. No. It was weird. A sort of 92 happened, didn't it? And then everything was, everything was about it. And then I don't know. That was probably not long after that. You had stuff like Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. And that's took off now, isn't it? It's like even talking to you. It's only through Twitter that you contacted me on that. Isn't it? Yeah. It's easy, isn't it? It's so easy.
I never.
Even me, and I'm a technophobe, but yeah.
Yeah,
you see when Bonnie was setting up the camera for me.
Like you say, it's only thanks to Twitter and stuff that I was able to start this, because I've never known a footballer in my life. So I've managed to get.
Oh, yes, nice. You're obviously a fan of the club, yeah. So, right, yeah. Someone like Jamie Hewitt, he was there. God, did he spend his whole career at Chesterfield, Jamie?
Yeah. Apart from a one season away, but
what, when he finished at Chesterfield?
No, it was like halfway. He got kind of released for a year and then came back. So he had a bit of a break, but pretty much the ever present. And obviously, you were with a lot of players that time that were there pretty much the whole career. Lee Rogers, Jamie Hewitt, Andy
Rogers there a long time, wasn't he? Yeah. Gunny had been there a long time. Tony Bryan moved on to, where did he go? West Brom, I think Tony went to, or Hull. Steve Williams was there quite a long time, wasn't he? Sean Dyche probably done 6-7 years there, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Dyche was 2 years younger than me, so we were the two youngest in the first team. he was 18 and I was 20. So yeah, I remember he was my roomie when we played at Wembley. So he kept me up all night talking. So it was his fault we lost. But he did love a chat. Yeah.
Are there players like Sean Dyche that you kind of get a sense that they might go on to manage it?
Yeah, Dyche always had plenty to say. Yeah, like even at 18, which is good. He was full of confidence even at that age. But, he'd be raring with Gunny and Mickey Leonard. Sort of winding them two up when they're like seasoned pros. But yeah, you don't know at the time, do you? Obviously, when I left, he was still very young and was, still learning his football. But obviously, he moved on and done really well. So,
right, hasn't he? So that so you mentioned like Paul Hart left, Chris McMenemy took over. It's kind of about halfway through the season, I think, was it? Something like that.
Probably just after Christmas, yeah, probably January time, yeah.
What was the switch like? Because I mean, he wasn't very old, was he?
No, he was probably one of the youngest managers going, wasn't he? So yeah, he was there. Obviously, Dave Rushbury would help him. He was like physio coach, and they brought in a guy. I think Steve Hetzke came in and was helping as well. So yeah, nothing really changed too much, really. Same players, same coaching staff, apart from obviously Paul Hart weren't giving the orders out. So yeah, that sort of just we picked up a little bit. Obviously, we couldn't go much lower because we was near the bottom anyway. So, and then the following season, as you say, we come 12th or 13th. So,
yeah.
No, I was looking forward to the season next. Because I played near enough every game. I think I only missed about 3-4 games.
Yeah, I think it was.
And suspension possibly.
Mm.
I pick up a few bookings, but yeah, it was weird. I went in to see him, Chris, and I think I've been in to see him in the March because your contracts come running out in June. And he said, "Oh yeah, no problems. You're one of my regulars. You'll be offered something." And then I went back in May, and he sort of like all the other lads had gone in sort of before me, and he said, "Oh no, I can't offer you anything." It's like I was in like shock. I remember sitting down with Dave and Tony Bryan, like, I can't believe it. I don't know what happened there. It was a strange one, but I'd love to bump into him just to ask him what had happened there. But that was me sort of done at Chesterfield, then just in his office and out, and then you think, well, I'll be going back home,
Yeah, and it's weird because
it really upset me. I was upset for quite a while.
Because you look at your stats and first season, obviously you only played like 5 appearances, but that's all you could really manage.
That's the maximum I could have
that first full season, I think it was like 33 appearances, something like that, and then I think the next one it was like 41. So like you said, it didn't really.
I've played every game pretty much, unless I was injured or suspended. Yeah. So well, you have to ask him that one. So it's a strange one. But.
I think he runs like villas in Ibiza or something now, doesn't he? Just
does he? Yeah,
he property abroad, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think he'd be a good salesman, possibly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's. Was he a good salesman? Do you think he was a good salesman in terms of getting the job in the first place?
Well, yeah, I don't want to say too much here, but
a few managers like that.
I don't think he done Artie any favours. I don't think. Yeah. Yeah, there's a bit of that going on, I think. But yeah, you don't realise at the time. It's only when you look back afterwards you think, oh yeah.
It's funny as well the amount of players that I've had on that have kind of seemingly been kind of done over or lied to by managers.
Yeah,
offered things and taken away, and then
that's it. Offered something. Yeah, if you don't get it in writing, there's nothing. Don't mean a thing, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had that when I went, because obviously when I left Chesterfield, I signed for Enfield, like non-league. It was in the which was the league below the conference with the old Isthmian League. But it was crazy. They offered me, I got more money there than I was getting at Chesterfield playing non-league. Crazy. I can't believe it. But I wish I'd stayed in the league, really. I didn't really get any offers. In them days, I wrote a few letters off, but if you ain't got an agent, in them days, you didn't, unless you knew the manager or the coaches, you wouldn't really get in anywhere,
Yeah.
Yeah, because I got offered, like, as I said, I think I was on $240 a week at Chesterfield. Enfield gave me $370 a week, and you're only training twice a week and playing on a Saturday. So I thought it's no brainer. I can move back home, and but that's when I should have done the knowledge, because if the cab trade was really good in them days, like early 90s. So that's when I should have. because I didn't have to get out, I'd lay in bed till 10 o'clock and stuff. Sort of because thinking, well, you got to go training at 6 in the evening. You have the whole day to yourself. So that's when a lot of the guys at Enfield had decent jobs and were getting decent money at Enfield. So they done all right. Done really well for themselves. A lot of them. We had a reunion the other week at Enfield, which was good. So I met up with a lot of the old players from there the other week.
So with Enfield,
we had one.
You obviously said you moved on to Enfield after Chesterfield. So was that just like a rich owner or something then?
Yes, yeah. The guy that owned it, a guy called Tony Lazaru, he had, I don't know if you're too young, but there was like a nightclub that was attached to the football club. It was called the Starlight Room. So you had people like, you'd have all the top acts like Joe Longthorne and Jim Davidson. It's like you'd get 1,000 people in there paying like 40 quid a ticket to watch them and have some dinner. So that paid for the owner. He owned the whole lot, so that money would help fund the football club. So because he got players, there was like me, obviously an ex-pro. You had Graham Roberts joined, the ex-Tottenham player, and then he ended up getting a manager's job. So he was the player manager. You had people like Mark Falco, John Burridge in goal, Peter Rucker turned up in goal a few games. Yeah, they were paying, like, some of them guys were getting 600-700 quid a week. It's crazy. That's in like early 90s. But I think the chairman only did that for a couple of years, and then he realises, they're just nicking money off him, sort of thing, just to finish their careers, sort of thing. But yeah, there's some good players there. That's some really good players.
Yeah, and we should mention before, we've gone on a bit, I'm going to bring it back a bit, just for that goal against Blackpool. I stumbled on it on YouTube yesterday when I was.
You can get it on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. I'll send you the link. And it's a good finish. It's like a long range one. It's not a.
That's surprised though. Yeah, I think
it's be coming off your bum from like a yard out or something. But it's a good.
Yeah, finish. No, it was back 30 yards, wasn't it? But yeah, I think because I did have it on a video, but obviously video player, I think the tape snaps. I've not got it. So if you could send me that link.
Yeah, I'll send you the link, yeah.
I think the ball, I think it was last minute, and I think we was 1 down. Was it Blackpool, wasn't it? Yeah, because Trevor Sinclair was playing for Blackpool. I think he was only a young, probably 17, 18-year-old then. I remember marking him in that game. And I think the ball came out and just got it, took a couple of touches and just thought, I'll just whack it, and it went in sort of bottom corner, didn't it? I think the keeper should have saved it.
Yeah,
had a bit of a weak right hand, I think, the keeper, and he sort of just. But yeah, it was a decent strike. Yeah.
Here's early cross, curls in dangerously. Taylor goes up, man at the far post. Own goal by Hewitt in the end, and I've nearly said on the commentary, I've got a feeling that Blackpool are going to sneak one. And they have. Time for Francis to think about what he's going to do with this. He comes steaming forward, might try a shot. He does, it's a goal! Lee Francis!
When you score a goal like that for the next few games, you're kind of looking.
Yeah, thinking you might do it again. Yeah.
Well, I did do well. I remember pre-season. You play the Derbyshire Cup. I don't know if they still do that against Derby. I remember scoring at the baseball ground, something similar. But it was a pre-season game. I remember a couple of supporters. I remember looking on Twitter, and there's a couple of supporters that remember seeing it. But yeah, that was when Peter Shilton was at Derby. But I don't think he was in goal that day. I think Martin Taylor was in goal. I think. But it's still a good goal to score. Yeah, they're probably my 2 best goals for sure. Well, only goals, should I say?
Yes.
I think even at Enfield, I only scored 1 or 2. I think. But yeah, not as many as Waller, anyway.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, I mean, he scored.
How many did he score?
I mean, he was really unlucky because obviously injury ended him when he was like 27 or something like that. So I mean, he would have probably got over 100 goals.
He would get 20 a season. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's remarkable, really. So then, when you left Chesterfield, obviously you did Enfield, but then you did quite a lot of other clubs. Grays, Hendon.
Well, as you were saying about getting stitched up, I remember there's a manager called George Borg, and I'd hurt my knee playing for Enfield, so I needed a knee operation. Obviously, they don't want to pay for it, do they? See, I remember the manager said to me, "Oh, if you sign for Boreham Wood, play a game for them, go down injured." This is the manager telling me this. Go down injured, and we'll get it done on their insurance. So I've signed this, whatever I've signed, to go on loan to Boreham Wood. So I go back to the manager and say, "Oh, get my knees sorted now." And he went, "Oh no, we've signed the wrong forms. We've cancelled your contract." They obviously wanted me off the wage bill, didn't they? But I remember ringing the PFA up and they didn't do nothing. It's like I was in limbo. So I was lucky. I did ring the PFA up and they paid for me to get the knee done, which was good of them. But they couldn't do anything about the cancelled contract. But I had a few months just sort of getting my knee ready, and then I ended up. I had a mate who was playing for Grays, so I ended up with a guy called Mickey Ingwell, who'd been at Enfield with me. He was playing at Grays, said, "I'll come down Grays." It's the same league. And he ended up playing for them. That's why I went to Grays. So played for that. And then Graham Roberts had gone to Yeovil by then. So he got about 5 of us ex-Enfield players. We all went down to Yeovil the season after, which was a good good football club. Yeovil. They just built that new stadium, so it was all new. It was really nice.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed my year down there.
So when did you? Because obviously when you left Chesterfield, you were still really young, weren't you? You were like, what?
20? Yeah, I was 22 when I left Chesterfield. Yeah.
So how long did you carry on playing for?
I played normally. I think I got to 30, and I was playing for Harlow Town. Which was getting like £100 a week. And I was fitness-wise, I'd lost a lot of fitness, and I kept pulling hamstrings, and that's when I did the knowledge. Decided to be a cab driver.
Yeah, so this is.
So you think I'm pretty much football. I'm done now. But maybe I wish. Sometimes you think back. You think, "Oh, wish I'd done a referee's course or a bit of coaching or something." But too late now. But the ref. Especially when you see how bad some of the refs are, you think, "Oh, I could have done that easy." Obviously with a way of keeping fit as well, wouldn't it? But
yeah. You'd have done a better job in the '97 FA Cup semi-final.
Oh yeah, just think, I could have ref that game. Oh, that would have been good. I don't think I'd have been allowed, would I? Ex-player.
So, then you mentioned doing the knowledge. Yeah, you're the first kind of cabbie that we've had on. So it's
that's right, cabbie, yeah.
Yeah, it's. So how did that all come about? Was it?
Yeah, I just remember because my brother was a golf pro at the time. I was helping him he had the golf shop at the golf club, so I would help him a little bit. And he said, there's quite a few cabbies that were members of the golf club, and they all seem to do all right out of it. You think you never see. They used to say you never see a poor cabbie, do you? But it's a bit different nowadays. But so I said to my brother, yeah, we'd do that. Right. So we went out, bought a couple of little C90 bikes. Started pottering around London, learning all the roads. But I remember my brother, we started in the winter time, so obviously going out on the bike's a bit dangerous in the winter. And he was going across Holloway Road and he come off the bike. So that put him right off. So he gave it up after that. He wouldn't go out anymore. But I cracked on with it. And sort of 4 years later, got my badge. So I could go and drive the cab. But yeah, 4 years, tough trying to work. And I got another job during that time just to keep me going, money-wise. Just didn't pay very well, but it managed to get me through the knowledge. So I could.
So how do you actually learn it all? How do you get it all?
It's so scary. Yeah. I remember seeing a guy who explained it all to me, and you get this big map on the wall, and you've got, they stick 2 pins in an elastic band, and then so you plan your sort of route around London, sort of learning. So you could do maybe 8 or 9 runs to try and, obviously when you finish one, you want to be close to the next one. And I'm thinking, how am I going to do that? But it's like anything, once you get into it, you sort of, probably a bit like you with the podcast, you thought, I'll never do this, but now, you do it, no problem. But it's a bit like that. It's a bit daunting, but once you get started, it's like anything, you sort of pick it up. And the first 2 years, you're learning sort of stuff you don't know, and then pretty much know it all, but then you just keep getting tested on it, and it gets really hard work. Yeah, a lot of the roads, thanks to Sadiq Khan, are getting shut now, and the old cycle brigade don't want anyone driving on the roads anymore, do they? But you're not a cyclist, are you?
I'm not, no. More of a runner.
You got some nice places to cycle where you are, aren't you?
Yeah.
But it's getting really difficult now with all the and you've got scooters flying around. You've got your eyes everywhere. So it's quite stressful sometimes. But, do what you can, really.
Do you ever get any footballers? Have you ever had any footballers?
I picked a lot of celebrities up, but footballers. No, I don't think I have. A few sportsmen, but not footballers. Yeah, lots of actors, actresses. Yeah, stuff. Yeah, I'm quite good at recognising them. So, yeah, you do meet some nice people. 99% of people find you get the odd idiot, but yeah, it's not too bad.
Do you pretend when you get someone that's quite famous and you know who they are? Do you pretend that you don't know who they are?
Sometimes you can normally, you get a feel for it whether they want to talk or not. You can ask them something. You can tell by their answer whether they want to. I remember I picked up Louis Walsh once, the X Factor judge.
Yeah.
Oh, he was alright. Yeah, he didn't want. He was on his phone the whole time. Didn't want to talk to you, sort of thing. But it's up to him. But yeah, he obviously didn't want to talk to me.
So go back to kind of finish where we started in terms of like Chesterfield again. Do you kind of keep an eye out then in terms of?
I had a spell where I wasn't really fun it. When they were really struggling in the Div 2, and then obviously they've had a couple of years non-league now, haven't they?
So did you have any games that stood out or any highlights of your time at Chesterfield? I always put people on the spot when I say this.
Yeah, well, obviously that Blackpool goal was probably one of my highlights, and obviously making my debut and obviously playing at Wembley. Yeah, the playoffs, obviously the most memorable game, I suppose. But at least you can say you played at Wembley, can't you? Yeah.
Did you keep your shirt from Wembley?
Didn't keep anything, yeah. Yeah, because I got a friend of Jimmy Carstairs who played for Stockport, and he was at Arsenal with me. And he said he had a couple of Stockport shirts. Some fan just bought them off him for £1 each. A couple of old shirts. I said, I wish I'd kept mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said they weren't even a special shirt. I think just obviously a fan wanted the shirt. But,
sitting on a gold mine if you had it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, fine. Yeah, I don't think I'll get much for mine though.